What's up, everyone? Today I'm bringing a deck profile on my Gaias. Now before we get to the deck profile, I just want to mention a reminder to vote for which deck you'd like me to do a deck profile on for this month. The one with the most votes and maybe some others, I'll do a deck profile on. So with that out of the way, let's get on to the deck profile. Now first up, I run 3 Gaia the Fierce Knight Origin. Now Origin is the only level 4 Gaia Fierce Knight monster. All the rest are level 7s. And this can be treated as 2 tributes for a Gaia monster. And when this card is in your hand, you can send one level 5 or higher monster from hand to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. It's also got a graveyard effect to banish it. Then target one monster on the field whose current attack is different from its original attack, and its attack becomes its original attack. The graveyard effect isn't all that much useful. I'm going to use it as the effect to summon itself and use it as a tribute for one of my other Gaia monsters. Like, for example, Gaia the Magical Knight. I'd say out of all the level 7 Gaia monsters, this is probably the best and my favorite. This is definitely the one you're going to want to use the most. Now, this is treated as Gaia the Fierce Knight. So if there's a card that says add a Gaia the Fierce Knight monster, you can use this because Gaia the Magical Knight can be treated as Gaia the Fierce Knight. Now if you control no monsters or your opponent controls a monster with 2600 or more attack, you can special summon this. You can normal summon this card without tributing. And if this card is normal special summon, you can special summon one level 5 dragon monster from your hand or graveyard. So it's good at getting out Curse of Dragon or any other dragons you run. Next, I run 2 Soldier Gaia. Originally I was running 3, but I bumped it down to 2 because honestly I'd rather use the other Gaia monsters. This is probably, all the ones you want to use is probably the weaker ones, and I don't use it as much as Gaia the Magical Knight. Now Soldier Gaia has a quick effect that can tribute 1 Dragon Fusion monster to special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is special summoned, you can target 1 attack position monster on the field, change it to defense position. You can also tribute this card to add 1 level 7 or higher warrior monster from your deck to your hand. So it's kind of like a bit of a searcher. A bit of a weaker searcher, that's why I only run it at 2, because there are other ways you can search Gaia monsters. And honestly, even if you want to just cut Soldier Gaia out completely and put some other stuff in, that's totally fine. It's probably the least useful out of the bunch here. I run 3 Curse of Dragon, the Cursed Dragon. Now, Curse of Dragon is also a searcher. When it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists Gaia the Dragon Champion in its text. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a Gaia the Dragon Champion in your monster zone. Negate the effects of face-up monsters. And you can also target 1 Gaia the Dragon Champion in your monster zone. Negate the effects of face-up monsters your opponent currently controls with attack less than or equal to it until the end of this turn. So a really good card. You can definitely so this is one of your negations, as well as for fusing out Gaia the Dragon Champion. Now next, because it's just how powerful it is and actually is much easier to get out in this deck, I run 1 Dark Magician and 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon. Probably know what that means. 3 Ash Blossom as a hand trap. Don't really need to explain Ash Blossom, pretty much everyone knows at this point. Also run 1 Dragon Bust Destruction Sword. One thing I noticed, this combined with Dragoon is very powerful. So yeah, this has to get hit on the upcoming ban list because it's just too powerful. Like, if I'm running Dragoon, I'm going to run this because it's just the most busted thing out there. Moving on to the spells, I play 3 Galloping Gaia. Galloping Gaia has 2 effects. You can activate one of them once per turn. If you have you can reveal 1 Gaia monster to add 1 level 5 dragon, or reveal 1 level 5 dragon to add 1 Gaia. So it's one of your searchers, as well as Gateway to Chaos, which I run 3 of. This allows you to search out your Gaia monsters. So both these field spells can search out your Gaias, although this one can also search out your Curse of Dragon. Now I run one last field spell, and that is Metaverse. That is Mystic Mine. I think we all know, pretty much know what Mystic Mine does at point. This is the broken field spell that which says if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, they can't activate monster effects or attack. Sometimes in Gaias, you're not going to be able to start off really good right away because you do run a lot of higher level monsters, and sometimes that can hurt. So having Mystic Mine there can also help kind of like slow the game down to once you have all the pieces, you can just start going off. As well as the 1 terraforming and 1 set rotation for the field spells. I run 3 Spiral Fusion. That's the fusion card for the Gaias. Fusion summon 1 Dragon Fusion monster from your extra deck using cards from your hand or field as fusion material. And if you special summon Gaia the Dragon Champion by this effect, it gains 2600 attack and can make up to 2 attacks. One thing with Gaia the Dragon Champion, it's able to gain a lot of attack and keep it, so eventually it can become a giant beat stick. I also run the 1 Spiral Spear Strike. If Gaia the Fierce Knight or Gaia the Dragon Champion you control attack the defense position monster, inflict piercing damage, and you can draw 2 cards and discard 1. This one's not going to come up too often, but if you can get it off, it's a draw 2, discard 1, really good. Next, 2 Red Eyes Fusion, pretty obvious. I think that's the ratio, personally, what I want to run for the Dragoon. I also run 3 Called by the Grave, because getting hand traps always sucks, regardless of the format. I also run 2 Pot of Desires for draw power. Now, one thing with Pot of Desires, sometimes it can conflict with this deck, because let's say you banish Dark Magician, then you can't even use Dragoon. So the one thing I want to do is usually get Dragoon out first and then activate this, because at that point, if you have let's say you've already used Dark Magician, Red Eyes, and Dragon Buster, then everything else is just completely expendable. I also run the 1 Rhoda, since this is a warrior deck. Well, mostly a warrior deck. 1 Monster Reborn, because it's Monster Reborn. And 1 Trap. Metaverse. Now moving on to the extra deck. Play the obvious 1 Red Eyes Dragoon. Very, very powerful card. I play 3 Gaia the Magical Knight of Dragons. This is also treated as Gaia the Dragon Champion while it's on the field. And this has a quick effect. You can target 1 other card on the field. That card loses exactly 2600 attack. And if it does, destroy that card. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, this card can gain 2600 attack. And that attack gain is permanent. It's not until the end of the turn. So if you use Spiral Fusion on this and destroy a monster, you gain 2600 twice. Like, it's just going to keep stacking up and become a giant beat stick. I also run 2 Gaia the Dragon Thunder Charger. This card can also be cheated out by using a ranked 5 or 6 monster you control. It's not really much of a card that I use much, but I have some extra deck space and I want to run some ranked 7s. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of good ranked 7s, so I just went with a few of the ranked 7s I have, like also Dark Arm, Dragon of Annihilation. Also run Abyss Dweller and number 60 YUGIOH. Since Origin is a level 4, sometimes you can end up having 2 Origin on field, and this is essentially some options in case that happens. Next, I run 1 Union Carrier, since I run a Dragon Buster. 1 Predaplant Verte Anaconda, still hasn't arrived. 1 Cross Sheep. 2 Barricade Board Blocker, since you have a lot of field spells. And 1 Boral Sword Dragon. So that's going to be all for this deck profile. Remember, once again, vote for which deck you want me to do a deck profile on. And, yep, I'll see you in the next video I make. Bye.